I went 2.5/3 years, no salary at Quantexa, right? So this was a big decision. I was over £1 million down of my own money in Quantexa. I was all in, like in the poker game, like all chips are in. I was all in on Q. So this was a big decision. And so my first convo was with my wife. And the second convo was with the firm.
So you had this idea, you knew what you were going to do. It was to connect all this data, all this disparate data inside the bank and meld it with stuff outside, feed it into AI and make some decent decisions on the back of that. That sounds very easy to explain when you're sitting there in concept. I think a lot of people want to know, okay, so how do you go about putting that into action? Who wrote that software for you, or did you write it yourself?
So in all forms of business, it's always about people. Always. So when I decided, that's it, I'm going to start a business, the first thing I did was talk to trusted people who I know that can help me on the journey, who I know that can lead this journey with me. And so I called straight away Imam, who had worked with me. He was my boss's boss at BAE and so on. But I also called a number of other people. One of those people is my CTO, one of the co-founders, a lovely guy called Jamie Hutton. And Jamie and his team wrote the Quantexa platform. We were about 18 months old as a business, and we were bidding for a very large contract with a very large bank where I was toe-to-toe with some of the biggest tech companies around the world. And we won. We won that RFP. We deployed, and that's been a deployment since 2017 and is still there today.
And obviously people is one ingredient, if you like, when you're building a unicorn, but another very important ingredient is capital. So how early in the journey were you thinking you wanted to be a unicorn, if that was even a thing? Was it kind of the vision? And how early did you take capital, and how did you choose your investors?
Firstly, in any time we've done a raise, I've never been fixated about the number. Honestly, if you get fixated on the number, you will be optimizing for the wrong things. When I started Q, I wanted to prove to the world that here in the UK, we can build foundational technology. Period. We have here in the UK some of the smartest people, some of the smartest universities. We have a diverse group of people that brings so much knowledge and wisdom, if it's around science, if it's around technologies, whatever it is. And, it pained me. There wasn't more happening here in the UK around tech, data, AI. And, this country has given me, my family, so much. My dad came to the UK with 1 shilling in his pocket. 1 shilling, proper old money, right? But coming back to your question, I never went out to any raise to say, I want to get X. I never...
By raise, you mean fundraise?
Sorry, fundraise, sorry. Yeah. When we went to do a fundraise, I never said, I want to get X. I want to be valued at Y or whatever it was. The mission of Q was to connect data together, to build foundational technology here in the UK. And that's what we want to do, and that's what we're doing. Now, your second part of the question, when did we decide? So obviously we're bankrolling it. A lot of my money is in the company, and you're not earning a salary, still got a mortgage to pay, still got bills, you still want to go out to a restaurant now and then with your wife, especially when you're in trouble like I am many times, working or whatnot. But the bit that clicked was the point when that tender we were doing, and I was seeing from the client that the market fit is happening. This is not just a solution looking for a problem. There is a big problem here. Doing this on a shoestring, where I'm hand to mouth every 3 or 4 months, looking over the shoulder, say, do I have enough money for the payroll in 5 months, is not the right thing to lead a foundational business. So at that point, I said to my team, we're going to have to go and raise money. Are we all in? And straight away, the whole team was like, we're going to go and do this. So 3 months process. I ran it like an RFP, like a request for proposal. I went to market, spoke to 20 potential investors, and I ran it like a process. And I said, look, by Friday the 13th, and it was a Friday the 13th in December, term sheets in. We received not 1, not 2, but 5 term sheets that night. 5. And look, there is no raise, there is no fundraise, there is no valuation till you get a term sheet. You can have thousands of great conversations with thousands of investors. It means nothing until you get a term sheet. And so that Friday the 13th, we got the 5. And then that weekend, Imam and I came back into the office and we spent 2 days evaluating each term sheet. What's more than the money that those investors were bringing, future growth, partnership, etc. And then we selected.